sit down. I was gonna sit down.
All right. Begin the meeting. Start the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Otter, call the call and roll, please.
Mr. Thacker?
Here.
Ms. Wager?
Here.
Ms. Thies?
Here.
Mr. Norris?
Here.
Ms. Wilson?
Here.
Mr. Thompson?
Here.
Mr. Loudermilk?
Here. Thank you, Mr. Otter. Moving on, corrections to the journal of the preceding meetings. First, we have the November 1st, 2022 Sunshine Meeting. I ask if you have not already done so, please review those meeting minutes for accuracy and state any changes or corrections that need to be made at this time. If the meeting minutes are correct as presented, I entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Councilman Thacker, second by Councilwoman Wager. Any questions or comments before vote? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Thacker?
Aye.
Ms. Wager?
Aye.
Ms. Thies?
Aye.
Mr. Norris?
Aye.
Ms. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Loudermilk?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have the November 9th, 2022 meeting minutes. Again, review for accuracy and note any corrections that need to be made. If the meeting minutes are correct as presented, I'd entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Councilman Thompson, second by Councilman Norris. Any questions or comments before vote? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Thacker. Ms. Weger.
Aye.
Ms. Thies.
Aye.
Mr. Norris.
Aye.
Ms. Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Loudermilk.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. And now open up this portion of the meeting for public comment. Ask that comments be limited to items not on tonight's agenda. Those wishing to speak during public comment, ask that you approach the podium, state your name and address for the record, and sign in with the sheet provided. With that, we will open this segment for public comments. Appears there's no one. Communications from elected officials, other officials, or agencies of the county. Does anyone like to speak at this time? There's no one. We will now open a portion of the meeting for a public hearing for the abatement itself that we're going to hear on behalf of Center Pet Care. Those are resolutions 2022-13 and 2022-14. I will now open this portion of the meeting for the public hearing and invite those who'd like to speak at this time.
Thank you, Mr. President, fellow members of the council. My name is Richard Shagley. I'm with the law firm of Wright, Shagley & Lowry, and today I'm here on behalf of Saturn Pet Care Incorporated for these two resolutions. Before I begin, I want to thank you all for having this special call. I do appreciate it. I know it was difficult finding a time where it works for everybody, and I appreciate you all making time for us today to get this matter resolved this year. I would like to have I'd like to introduce a couple people who came in from out of town. You guys want to come up and introduce yourself?
Good evening or good afternoon. My name is Martin Moog. I'm the CEO of the company. We're super excited to be in Vigo County and have established Saturn Pet Care here. We appreciate your consideration and thank you for your support.
Yes, hello. My name is Christian Schröder. I'm from Germany, from the mother parent company of Southern Pet Care Inc., Resto AG, and I'm the member of the board. And I'm happy to be here, first time on that kind of decision, and hope that you will count for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I mentioned in my previous meeting with you all the importance of this plant in Vigo County, and Saturn Pet Care's desire to grow here in Vigo County. And I think the fact that these two gentlemen came in from New Jersey and Germany to be here tonight shows you their level of interest in our community and growing our community. So thank you both for being here tonight. In front of you is the two resolutions, 13 and 14. They have been amended. Through the course of the last month, there's been a lot of dialogue between the council, myself, and Mr. Effner and Calissa. And I want to thank you all for your help in getting to where we are today. If you look at the resolution, Saturn Pet Care Incorporated has done something, to my knowledge, that hasn't ever been done in Vigo County, and that includes both the city abatements and the county abatements. To show their commitment to using local labor, they included, not only in the resolution, but in the SB1s, their commitment to using local contractors in Freitag Weinhardt and Sycamore Engineering. I applaud them. I applaud Saturn Pet Care for their dedication and their trust in our community and our local labor. This isn't just for this abatement. I should note that both those entities have been out on property all year, and including up until I think this week, Freitag is on property. So I know there's been some issues in the past with people coming to this podium and telling you we're going to use local labor, but I think it's clear that Saturn Pet Care Incorporated is not only willing to say they're going to do it, but they have been doing it and continue to do so. Besides those two changes, those are the only two changes that have been made to any documents that are presented for you. That would be the two resolutions and then the two SB1s. You can see on the SB1s, due to some computer not allowing me to put a lot in, I had to do an attachment A to personal property, but basically says the same thing that is found in other benefits under Section 5 on the real estate improvements. I understand this is a special call, and I appreciate the time, so I will not go any further. I would be happy and welcome any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Any questions from council?
Mr. Shagley,
Yes, sir.
is it correct that you guys are working on a plan with the fire department, with the Honey Creek Fire District?
Yeah, the chief was here at the last meeting. I have been working with Will Frankel, their attorney, also a member of the Honey Creek Fire Department, and except for a couple of the finer details, we have a pretty good arrangement set up.
Okay,
So
okay, good deal. Thank you for that.
I tried to call him on the way here, just to confirm. I got his voicemail. I thought maybe he was here, but he was not here today. So, but yeah, I feel like we have a good understanding and a pretty good idea of how we're going to do this in a way that is pleasing to all the parties involved.
Good, thank you.
Councilman Thacker?
Hello, Richard.
Hello.
So we have been involved in some conversation, and one of the questions that got brought up to me tonight beforehand was, how many years are we into the current abatement that Saturn has?
2019, I believe, is the first abatement.
So you're still in that one, because I know you guys still weren't up quite to the numbers that, because of all the underlying factors, you still weren't quite to the numbers of employees that we had initiated
Right.
back in 19. That predates me. So, and then the only other thing, and I shared with Mr. Shagley, and I've talked to the council members on, when we gave a 10-year, 100% abatement, the one time that I've been involved with it, we felt a little burnt on it. And so that's why we're trying to do better, and we're trying to do what's right for the community. And we just gave recently to Great Dane a tax abatement that was a 10-year prorated. And, and it's very similar size-wise as this one. They did not have this extra language, and I do appreciate that, and that's been, but we also know that's something that we're looking to move forward with on everybody. We were going to ask this of everybody. So I just didn't know, if there was any discussion with anybody else wanted to say how they felt about it. I do feel like they're committed, and I do appreciate them working with you and attending here and asking it. That I just think it's a little more appropriate for the size of the project to have the 10-year prorated versus the 10-year 100% every year. And I'm looking out for the county's interest, is I feel like my job to do. So I just wanted to put that out there to see if anybody else had any feelings.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Councilman Wager?
I do think, Richard, I know that you play on the up and up, and you understand that, we're just looking out for the folks here. And, these folks have been good stewards at their facility.
Yeah.
We just want to have a way to assure the folks in Vigo County, that we just want local folks hired.
I agree with you 100%. This council has been burned by some previous people who stood at this podium. But the one thing I can tell you is, I can sit there all day and tell you that they'll use good local labor. But Saturn Pet Care Incorporated is doing something that no one has ever done in Vigo County. And they're not doing it because there's some document that says they have to. In our discussions, you would ask that language be included, and they're like, yeah. Freitag, Weinhardt, and Sycamore Engineering have been out there all year. They're happy with their work. They do good work. Those are two great local contractors that employ a lot of great local men and women in our community, and it's a no-brainer to have them on this job. This is, the thing is, what's so important about this, and the abatement's a great tool that communities have to entice. What we have in this situation is a company in Saturn Pet Care that has enormous potential in our community. They're not landlocked. They've got plenty of dirt to keep expanding. And this abatement is a way to show them that Vigo County wants Saturn Pet Care in their community. Because I would think it would take about 8 minutes, if not less, to get commitments from 20 other communities to bring them to their communities with all kinds of financial incentive packages. But they have chosen Vigo County, and now they're showing an interest in not only staying in Vigo County, but expanding Vigo County. And I think personally, one of the nice steps I see in this, obviously when the company CEO comes in from out of town and somebody comes from Germany, that says something about their interest in this community. But one thing that Saturn did that I think was a great move is 18 months ago, they stole Andy from another company here locally. And if you haven't gotten to know Andy yet, Andy is not from here, but he is all in on Vigo County. He participates in all kinds of nonprofit organizations. His kids are in different activities. So he can't go to soccer fields anymore and worry about running in an interview if he doesn't do what he says he's going to do, or go to Baszler's or go to risk on the outside. Andy is, although not from here, he's a Terre Haute, Vigo County boy now, and he's raising his family here, and he wants to be here as long as he can too. He too, just like Saturn, could have gone anywhere with his job skills. He wants to be here, and he's trying to stay here, and for him to help him stay here, Saturn has to expand. And we're here today simply to ask for you to provide Saturn Pet Care 2 10-year abatements. That's going to create 50 additional great jobs with a tremendous payroll and benefit package, and a dedication to local labor. I'd be happy to answer any more questions you have, or I could keep speaking. It's up to you.
Let's go with the questions. Councilwoman Thies?
I just, and I had reached out, but I just want to make sure that we're kind of clear on it too. And I had talked about traffic patterns. While I'm not always I live in the north end, but I do know the south end enough. Just something to kind of keep in mind as we're going forward. And really it was a couple constituents had reached out, and I know sometimes you can't control the drivers, but just encouraging them to use that other main road with the stoplight, so it doesn't impact some of those neighbors along the way. But I think there's, it's an industrial park area, so I know we're going to face that, but that helps on our wear and tear on the roads and things too. On the last abatement, was it a traditional 10-year? Was it the standard? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. And how much was that? I mean, like, what kind of investment? Okay. Thank you. Oh, and I've already talked to people who are interning, so I appreciate that. Yeah, with the education stuff.
Councilman Thacker?
And there again is, as Calissa has prepared for us, some different ones that you may not see, but one of them is that standard 10-year that you have currently. And with it, it shows the what the property would be on the real property and then on the personal property. And both of those are significant savings of $967,903 and $2,149,624. That is if it is those with the standard. And that's what I have heard the appetite for. And if you guys, I think if you're interested, if Saturn is interested in that, I know what you requested. It was very clear what you guys requested was the 10-year 100%. And I would be inclined to amend it and take action on it tonight. But then let the body look at it. But if you guys aren't interested in that, then it would be a moot point to even to go down that road.
We would like to proceed with the package provided to you.
Okay.
We believe, because we didn't have any guidelines to follow.
Sure.
All we had was precedent, and this
Sure.
council has given 100% abatement. This is a $50 million project, an absolute commitment to local labor, something that no one in this county has seen before. And then when you look at the 50 additional jobs and $4.8 million income package, I think what they're bringing to town is worth that 10 years, 100%. And the other thing is, what we don't know is the actual numbers. We won't know until things are assessed. And the numbers that are presented are on the very high end of it. The personal property has to be assessed as well as the real property. So we won't know the actual amounts until a future date. But as I started off by saying, Saturn Pet Care Incorporated feels that they are worthy of a 10-year, 100% abatement in this situation.
Do you have anything additional, Councilman Thacker?
And basically what I understand, if that's you guys' position on it, and what we're looking at is, there again, just having to have a number to work on. What you said, $50 million, and that's what we're talking. $8 million on real property and $42 million on personal property to the $50 million. We're talking a difference of, on the $8 million property of taxes, $1 million. And then on the personal property, the difference is, I think, $2 million. So that's why, my issue would be is, I can't support 100%, but that's my take on it as one council person. It's not because I don't want Saturn to stay here and I don't want them to do it. I'm just trying to be fair and equitable with what we've just granted with other ones at $50 million size. There again, it's not the one that we did the 100% was a $250 million commitment. And and at a higher paying jobs too. So if it comes to that and I have to vote on it, I just throwing it out there that I can't support the 100%.
And I think I think what you're saying is reasonable in the sense that just in the terms of the dollar amount, I don't disagree with, but I guess from my perspective, although this is not the size and scale of the previous project that we gave 100% to, and that was the first time, to my knowledge, that we had done that, it was a handshake deal that they would provide local jobs, and we've got stung on that, as we've seen, unfortunately. With this was the ask, 100% each of the 10 years, and during discussions, it was understood that, I believe to be understood, or at least somewhat compromised, that if Saturn Pet Care did step forward and make amendments to what they had presented and made assurances in writing that they'd use local labor, that we would in fact move in that direction. Although it is not the size and scope of what we had previously seen, I feel like they went above and beyond. We've yet to see this. I think, and in my eyes, that means a lot, right? I think moving forward, we do really have to determine as a council what would fit a certain criteria to fall in line with this, and unfortunately, we don't have that in place, and that's why we are where we are right now. we asked certain concessions of them, and much like in the previous project where we asked them to follow through on their end, and they did not, and it upset us, and I think a lot of people in the community as well, Saturn Pet Care has asked us to follow through on our end if they make these concessions, and they've done those things. So I feel like, with that said, although it's not the same project in size and scope and investment, you still have to be a good steward here and follow through with your end of the bargain. Even if this was not in writing, I believe Mr. Vogel would be a very strong man of character, strong character, and if he says he's going to do something, he's going to do something. And I think, I feel very good about him being in charge of this project moving forward, and making assurances that we're going to get this local labor in place, and I feel good about where we're at. Much better than what we had previously.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. That it is much better than what we had previously but with the ones that we have, they have, like the Great Dane one, they did use local people, but they had used local people in the past, where Saturn has not used local people in the past. And
They're
it was created.
currently using
I
right
get that.
now, and they have for this whole year.
I get that. It's just, my memory is longer than a year, is all I'm saying is, and when you have all the license plates say Kentucky on them, when they got the property for $1, and they were doing the project down there, and that was, in my eyes, that's one of the reasons I wanted to be on county council, because I thought that this is not right, that we give incentives and then we don't. So we are asking more, and we're going to ask more. And I think it's the right thing to do. I think anybody in here would say that if we can use local people, it's better for all of us. And so that's why I'm saying is, I don't disagree with what Aaron's saying, not at all. And but I just would like to see that for the size and scope, because we don't have that in place yet, that criteria in place yet. And but you guys did come and talk to us early in the summer about that you guys were going to be looking to do this, and then we get it, here in October, we see it, and in November. So, but that's just I'm just one person on it, and I've had other people talk to me about it, but I don't know. We'll have to take a vote to see where it shakes. But I just want it to be known is, I'm not against Saturn. I just think that you guys are coming to the table now. You are doing the right thing, but it doesn't make you as good a steward as some of the other ones that we've given the standard 10-year abatement for. And that's trying to be fair and equitable.
Councilman Wilson?
Correct me if I'm wrong, did the original abatement happen before Andy Vogel?
Correct.
Was in charge?
Yeah.
I am a big proponent, and I trust Andy. And that said, I'd like to make a motion, we just approve Resolution 2022-13 as presented.
We won't be able to do that just yet.
Okay?
We have to wait until we close the public hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, as soon as we close the public hearing portion of this,
Gotcha.
then we can.
I
wanted
move
to
to
move
close
along.
public hearing.
I'm sorry to do that. What did you say?
I don't want us to close it. Councilman Wager?
Trying to move it along.
How about this? Richard, I think this is a good company. These gentlemen have come from New Jersey and from Germany. I know the German folks to be very good people. And if they don't hire local people, they're going to hire a lawyer from Kentucky, and you'll be out of a job.
Okay,
You think about that.
I will. I'll have to.
That's a joke.
Okay.
Anyway,
Not very funny.
Councilman Thies?
joke.
I do think, though, something to consider, the fact that you guys put that in your language, as I've mentioned many times, I've been trying to work on some sort of rubric, and I think we've referenced it a couple times tonight, on making sure we're kind of more standard on things. I do think it's something maybe we need to add to this. It's a working document right now. It hasn't been finalized or anything. But I do think you guys make us think that something we might want to add to it is the fact if you're willing to put local language in, like Saturn has done, that adds value to it. And it's not something I had thought about before. So when I read this and I see that, you have our local companies like Sycamore and Freitag Weinhardt, it does, feel better to see those words. And it's something that whenever we finalize our kind of document that we hope to use for future abatements, I think that's something we need to add to it, because that gives a little bit more strength to it as well. So I appreciate that you guys put that in there.
Mr. Shagley, anything further?
I would like to make that motion again to close the public comment. I'll even second that motion. No, if you're not going to close it, I'll keep talking. That's fair.
We can close it if, yeah.
There we go.
We need a hook. Grab you.
Yeah. I heard the motion from Councilperson Wilson.
Any other comments from
No
council?
offense, and you excluded in that
None
reasoning
taken.
for that. Just want to move it along.
Any comments from the public? Please approach the podium. Thank you. Yeah. He's paid by the hour.
Jason King, 5656 Buffalo Run Road, resident of Vigo County. Also, I am the representative for the carpenters here in Terre Haute. United Brotherhood of Carpenters and Joiners of America. We help represent 35,000 members from Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio. One thing I will say, I do applaud Saturn Pet Care for what they're doing on this project because it's needed. I'm not going to dwell on the past. It's back there. The thing that challenges us is, like I've spoken before in city council meetings, is putting local labor to work, and I think that is important on everybody's mind. But I do challenge this body to take a good look at that tax abatement because it has burned us many times in the past. And there's language that can be put in that tax abatement language or tax abatements that can help our local workforce and put it on a tier system. There's other states, other counties, other cities that use a tier system, a percentage basically. If the company does what they say they're going to do and employs 15% of local workforce within 30 miles and 30% within 70 miles and so forth, then they get paid off of a tier system. And I would be more than happy to provide some of that documentation to you that I've done my own research for other areas and it works. As a taxpayer, I like that. As a local labor person, I like that as well. So it's a win-win on everything. And the thing of it is, we can go to different projects currently going on right now today, and we can see the same thing that Thacker talked about. And those plates are Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, everywhere but Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, our surroundings. So just something to consider. But again, I do applaud Saturn Pet Care because that is a huge move. And, that is exactly what we want is our local people back to work. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything additional? There is not. I will now close the public hearing. Move on to final reading of abatement for Saturn Pet Care, Inc. Resolution 2022-13, 10-year personal property tax abatement. I think we're all familiar. Spoke about it. Is there a motion?
President Loudermilk,
Councilman Norris?
I'd like to make a motion that we proceed with the 10-year 100% tax abatement for Saturn Pet Care, Resolution 2022-13.
Second.
So a motion on the floor to approve by Councilman Norris as presented, second by Councilman Wilson. Did you have something, Mr. Effner?
Mr. President,
Yes.
as I understand, Mr. Norris's motion is to approve the final action, which is presented in the booklet dated December
as is presented,
Yes. Real quick.
and that is with the amended language that we have
Correct.
today.
Before we go to vote on that, I do just want to follow up with what Todd has said or what Mr. Thacker has said and what Mr. Loudermilk has said. I do appreciate the community bringing to the community what Saturn Pet Care has brought. I think that for the two gentlemen from New Jersey and from Germany, you have a great asset that came to this community that has stuck with this community. So bringing him in to your facility and the drive that he has shown us so far is amazing. One thing that I ask of you guys, which you've already done and Councilwoman Thies talked about, was your internship with the schools. I can't reiterate enough that that is super important. I think that that's, in a world where it's hard to find workforce, I think that looking at 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old kids that are there that have no idea what your facility is like, I think it's important that we get them down there to see it, because I was stunned. I mean, I went through it. It's a great facility. SDI was a great facility. We toured through it. Same thing with Great Dane. I don't think that we talk enough about how great those facilities are in our community, and I think that that helps. With that being said, I do want to reiterate what Todd said. I think it's important to make sure that we bring our laborers in, and that we use local. And I know that you guys have stated that, and I think that that's extremely important. And I think that Jason's points about how we've gotten burned in the past, but I know that that's not going to happen in the future. I think that not only from your aspect, it's not going to happen because of having Mr. Volkel, but also I think that this governing body up here is going to do a great job of making sure that that doesn't ever happen. And it's not just this body here, it's the community in general. I think our community is becoming more aware of things that are going on. People are taking more importance to things. So, the other thing that I think is that it brings people to houses which are going to pay taxes. I think it brings food and beverage tax. There's a lot of other things that bring revenue in when you do things like this. So I think that that still helps the community, even though we're giving up a little bit for a while.
The non-dollar amount benefit to this is by using the local labor, we have men and women who are not having to travel. And that time with their families, to go to the ball games, to go to the practices, to help with the homework, to have dinner at the dinner table is something you can't even put a price on. And the fact that for this job, these men and women who are lucky enough to work for these great companies who are going to be doing this work won't have to travel for the 6 months to a year during the construction phase. And if I could just real quick, I apologize to the men and women behind. These are the management staff at Saturn who came to show the support of this. I also think they thought they were going to watch Andy and I eat more dog food to see if that was actually true. But I want to thank all of you for taking your time to come tonight. I know you didn't have to travel as far as some, but it's all appreciated. Thank you very much.
Just real quick, you opened the door there. The dog food is yummy, and I've tried it. And I did text Andy and told him that to some of the samples that I received, my dogs are extremely finicky. They gobbled it up so fast. So I thanked him for that. So good stuff. And they're German dogs. Schnauzers.
Councilman Thacker?
One last thing I'd just like to say in closing, it sounds like like it's looking good for the Saturn on this, but I just think it's a little irony here that I'm not up for re-election, I'm not campaigning, but I'm saying is I'm looking at saving the county $2.5 million here by doing the standard tax abatement of 10 years. So, that's part of our job as fiscal, is to make sure we have enough tax dollars. And I know some of us have campaigned on the fact that we're going to be fiscally conservative and we're going to watch what the tax spending is. And here I'm probably the most liberal one on the thing, and I'm the one wanting to keep it. Well, maybe I said close. But So anyhow, I just want that to be a point on it. I'm just trying to make a point here is we have two things we're looking to do. We want to attract business, and we have a good company here. I have no doubt Saturn's going to be good going forward with Andy, and that's great. But I think at the same time, even at a standard tax abatement is a nice compromise. But that's why we're here to vote. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Mr. Thacker,
Nay.
Ms. Wager,
Yes.
Ms. Steves,
Yes.
Mr. Norris,
Aye.
Ms. Wilson,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson,
Aye.
Mr. Loudermilk.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Now we have before us final reading abatement for Saturn Pet Care, Inc., Resolution 2022-14, 10-year real property tax abatement.
President Laudermilk, before get started on the voting of that, on the statement of benefits for real estate improvements, there are a couple of areas that need to be completed, which include the estimated start
When do you think
date,
the start time
month,
is
day, and
on
year,
the real property?
estimated completion date, month, day, and year.
What page is that?
It's,
When do you think you'll start?
mine's separate, so I don't have it. Is it the same as the first one?
Third quarter of 2023.
16.
16.
The start date is,
Third quarter of 2023.
so,
September-ish.
that would be,
No,
it would be July 1.
okay. Start third quarter 2023, end completion, they believe fourth quarter of 2024.
So I put it 7/1/2023 through 12/31/2024.
That's pretty close, yeah.
And then the other question I have is in section 4, estimated total cost value of proposed project. You have the current value at 8 million
Zero,
and nothing in proposed. So I'm assuming you put it on the wrong line.
Yeah, that should have been 0 for the currents, and then for the estimated values of proposed project, 8 million. So we're off by a line, I apologize for that.
That's okay. So it takes the total to 8. Okay, that's all right. And that was on their portion of the statement of benefits, so it doesn't require an action, just clarification.
Is everyone clear on that? So action would need to occur on the Form SB1, the real property.
I don't think any action is required on
There's
that.
not any action required of the council because it's in the section that they've,
Where at?
on the statement of benefits.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, it's on,
Okay, so it is there?
it's in section 2 and 4. On page,
But it's correct on what they've, because it's not here.
We don't have
I've
to do
corrected
it.
it on the one that'll be signed.
Okay, all right. Gotcha. Okay. And that moves down the line.
Right. Yeah, I didn't have,
Is everyone clear on that? What we're looking at? Page 16, Form SB1.
so to reiterate, in section 2, the estimated start date, July 1 of 2023, estimated completion date, December 31, 2024. Then if you go to section 4, current values and costs should be 0, current value and assessed value should be 0. Estimated values of proposed project should be 8 million for the cost and 8 million for the assessed value. And net estimated values upon completion should be 8 million in each column.
Thank you, and sorry for that confusion.
With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the Resolution 2022-14 as presented in the booklet before you today. Yes.
Approve the final action regarding resolution 123 as presented.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
2022-13.
Yeah.
Oh, 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. If we could have a motion to adopt final action by the council regarding resolution number 2022-13 as presented in your
14.
book.
14.
14.
14, sorry. 2022-14, real property as presented in your booklet for the council dated December 6, 2022.
Okay. So moved.
Motion by Councilman Wager, second by Councilman Wilson. Any questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Thacker,
Nay.
Ms. Wager,
Yay.
Ms. Thies,
Aye.
Mr. Norris,
Aye.
Ms. Wilson,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson,
Aye.
Mr. Loudermilk.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Norris, second by Councilman Wager. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Sign papers.